Hi, I'm Bob,
And I'm Sherry.
and this is Mostly Politics with Bob and Sherry.
Today we're interviewing Mr. Matt Wakulik. He is a construction worker and he is also the founding member of the Iron City Citizen Unit, and he is part of the command council for that unit. So welcome to the show, Mr. Wakulik.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good, good, good. Let's dive in right away. This group has had a little bit of rough couple years. And can you tell us a little bit about when did you guys founded the group? What was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, sure. Well, me and my friend, his call sign in our group is Gucci. Me and him were friends for a while, probably like 5 years, and we've always wanted to be part of a militia group because we're pretty hardcore constitutionalists. We always have been, and we wanted to be part of something like that because we felt that there may be a need someday for the citizens in this country to, maybe defend and protect all the constitutional rights for all the citizens that reside in our country, and for more and more citizens to be able to do that. And we wanted to be a part of that. So me and him sought out a group. We sought out some militia groups, and we ended up meeting a guy who ran a militia unit out of the Laurel Highlands area, and it was the Pennsylvania Lightfoot Militia. We got into contact with him, and then we joined that group. And the Pennsylvania Lightfoot is actually a statewide militia, and there's the Lightfoot Militia that is in multiple other states across the country: South Carolina, North Carolina, New York, bunch of different states, Indiana. So the Lightfoot Militia is a well-known militia that's been around for decades. And the Pennsylvania Lightfoot we joined, and we met a few other men in that unit, and three to be specific. And we did not like the leadership in that particular unit. We thought that the leadership was headed down in the wrong direction. It wasn't like-minded as we were. So the five of us had quit that and started our own in December of 2019. So that's whenever we started the Iron City Citizens Response Unit. And we also, 1 month later, we went to Richmond, Virginia. If you guys remember, in January 2020, in Richmond, Virginia, Governor Northam was on track to pass a myriad of anti-Second Amendment legislation. So our unit decided to go down there and represent the Iron City Citizens Response Unit at that Second Amendment rally, which was in Richmond, Virginia, which, by the way, had between 50 and 75,000 participants in that rally, which made it the largest Second Amendment rally in United States history. The DHS was down there, the FBI was down there, the ATF was down there. It was a big rally. 75,000 people with weapons carrying, open carrying, and believe it or not one single incident and not one arrest. Imagine that. So after that, we started doing events. As you're familiar with, Bob, you saw us down at the Reopen PA rally in April of 2020 after the shutdowns had happened. And that's what really put us on the map. We got a lot of publicity about that. And to your point, the city paper tried to slander us, trash us, call us all these names. Actually got more support, believe it or not. People joined our unit because of that publicity. And I always say, hey, all publicity is good publicity. I personally don't care about the slander and the name calling. To me, I have thick skin, and I know that I'm going to get more support than I am going to have negativity affecting me about it. But that's how we got started. That's how we got our name. And ever since then, it's been a really good ride. We've had great membership, great training. We've done multiple events. So, we've been doing a lot. We've gotten more popular. And I personally have been doing speaking events. I've done speaking events at the Cracked Egg. I've done speaking events in Harrisburg. I just did a month ago. I've done speaking events in Butler, 2 of them, or 3 of them in Butler. So I do speaking events a lot. People ask me to speak. People apparently adhere to my message that I have. So our unit has definitely gained popularity. Go ahead.
Good. So I have a question on. You kept saying it's pro Second Amendment. You're hardcore constitutionalist. what does that mean? And what does Second Amendment has anything to do with militia groups?
Are you familiar with the Second Amendment, Bob, Sherry? I mean, okay, right, well, I'm going to tell you, because the Second Amendment, I'm going to repeat it verbatim. The Second Amendment states, quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, unquote. So the militia is literally mentioned in the Second Amendment and clearly states that it is necessary to the security of a free state. So the militia is necessary, and the Founding Fathers' own words, besides the Constitution, their own words outside of the Constitution, in multiple different documents, their books, their writings, their letters, their discussions, they've clearly said that the militia are the people themselves. Hence, the second part of the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And we all know that the word keep means to have, to own, to possess. And bear, we all know, means to carry. So your right to own, possess, and have arms, and to carry those arms, shall not be infringed. Infringed means encroached, undermined, restricted, limited. It shall not be that. So technically, literally speaking, if we want to use the English language to which we speak, every single gun law on the books in any state or federal is 100% illegal, criminal, and unconstitutional, according to the Second Amendment.
What's your reaction to President Biden recently said that the Second Amendment is not absolute?
Well, technically speaking, he is correct, and let me explain. Whenever he says no amendment is absolute, he is 100% correct, and this is why. Your constitutional rights and your amendments are written on paper with ink. Okay, that's it. It's words on paper. If I write something on paper, that doesn't make it absolute. It only makes it absolute if I can physically defend it, right? Rape is illegal on paper. You're not allowed to rape anybody. Do people still get raped? Yes, right? Burglary, robbery, theft is illegal on paper. People still rob and steal, right? Just because it's on paper is meaningless unless it is defended, okay? Anybody can do anything they want to anybody else unless they are stopped. That's a universal fact. So technically speaking, he's right. We're supposed to have, this is what the Constitution says. If you don't abide by that Constitution, well, then you can do whatever you want to. And if you have more power, more control, if you can institute the threat of violence stronger than somebody else, you can do whatever you want to them. There's an old adage that says the pen is mightier than the sword. That's 100% incorrect. The pen is worthless without the sword to back it up. That's why we have police. If a law is violated, you send men with guns, batons, pepper spray, and handcuffs. They enforce the law when it is broken. Who enforces the law when the Constitution's broken? No one has done it, have they? Because we've lost more constitutional rights and we keep losing them decade after decade, year after year. We never gain any more. And I don't care who the president is. We have not restored any constitutional rights. Not under Trump, not under Obama, not under Bush. We never gain any. As a matter of fact, the shutdowns of 2020 was the biggest deprivation of constitutional rights in the history of our country, arguably during the Civil War, but that can be argued. But that's the biggest deprivation of rights was during the shutdowns of 2020 and 2021. That was the biggest and largest. Now, states were different, but nothing was done. Constitutional rights were violated, and not one single law enforcement agency charged or arrested any government official, whether it was a governor, mayor, health secretary, judge, for depriving constitutional rights, which, by the way, is a felony offense under U.S. Law Code Title 18, Section 242. And conspiracy to deprive constitutional rights is a felony offense under U.S. Law Code Title 18, Section 241. So just talking about conspiring, passing a law, trying to pass a law through your General Assembly or through Congress to deprive constitutional rights is a felony. Not only that, But under U.S. law code, if you do not uphold your oath to office, which every government official takes, to uphold and defend the Constitution and protect it from all enemies, foreign and domestic, every government official takes that oath. If you violate that oath, it's a felony offense under U.S. law code. You can go to jail because it's perjury. How many people got arrested and charged for that? Again, anybody can do anything they want to unless they are physically stopped. So if the law is not enforced, then Biden is correct. No law, no constitutional right is absolute. And that's where the militia comes in. The people need to enforce that if the government entities who are tasked to enforce the law do not. Then the people must take up, as is the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, says, if the government comes to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish the government and replace it with a new one. He said that in the Declaration of Independence. That was Thomas Jefferson.
So is that your view of what a militia is for, is to protect constitutional rights?
That is not my view. That is the Founding Fathers' view in all their writings. And I urge everybody to research the Founding Fathers' own words when it comes to the militia and how they describe it. Now, again, how did they win their freedom? They didn't win their freedom by signing petitions. The Founding Fathers did not gain their freedom and their liberty by casting ballots for politicians. They didn't win their freedom by wearing FJB shirts and waving "Don't Tread on Me" flags. They won their freedom by using violence against the British government who were tyrannizing them. They were forced to. There was no other option.
But that, for you personally, though, that's why you're in a militia?
I am in the militia because we are necessary to the security of a free state. And I am trying to uphold the Founding Fathers' own words and what they knew to be true. So that's why we are pushing that. We're trying to promote that the citizens themselves, who are the militia, by the Founding Fathers' own words, to get them to stand up and stand up in defense of their rights. Because as we all agree, they're being taken away. And guess who takes them away? The government. And they do it by the threat of force and coercion. That's why people comply and obey and acquiesce to all of these constitutional deprivations, because they know if they do not comply with these illegal, unconstitutional laws or edicts or orders or mandates, that they know that men with guns will come and arrest them and use the threat of violence to do so. And if you resist, these men with guns have the authority to actually kill you.
So are you saying then that your militia just sort of stands as a model and a call to the rest of the people to stand up? So you don't set yourselves apart as a separate group. You're saying this is what you got. You guys need to all stand up with us to defend your rights.
That's correct. Now we do that, right? Just like any group would want to gain. It's hard to describe. Everybody is the militia, right? We've established that the Founding Fathers, that's what they said. We know that. Everyone, you are the militia. But are you well regulated? And what did they mean by well regulated? Let me get into that for a second. Well regulated means, now this is the original definition, right? To keep or make regular. That's where the word regular comes from. Regulated. It never meant to control. It meant to keep or make regular. That's why every man back then had a gun in their house. They had ammo. They had gunpowder. They had swords. They had everything they need. They were well trained, well armed, well equipped, well organized, well regulated. So when the call came, when the British came, they got together. Paul Revere, man, he went on that ride. 3 other guys went with him. To arms. They grabbed their stuff. They knew where to meet up. They were organized. They were ready to go. They were well trained. They had their equipment. And that's what the people need to do in case of, a domestic or foreign entity, right? There was a threat of the Japanese invading back in the 1940s, right? World War II. And the Japanese even admitted, hey, we didn't want to invade California or the West Coast because we knew that all the Americans had a lot of firearms. We knew they had guns. And that's why the Japanese didn't invade. But again, if it's a domestic enemy, what are the people supposed to do? You know, they need to stand up strong, like and Ronald Reagan had clearly stated, peace through strength. That's how we beat down the Soviet Union in the Cold War. We were stronger militarily. They didn't want to mess with us. Peace through strength. You don't get peace through weakness. Weakness invites violence. People won't attack you because you're too strong, but they will tyrannize you and oppress you if they know you're weak. So if you get the citizens together to become well regulated, the government's less likely to oppress you and tyrannize you and deprive your constitutional rights, steal your money through taxation, do whatever they want to do. If they were scared, and let me repeat a Thomas Jefferson quote. He clearly stated, quote, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there is liberty. Well, the government doesn't fear the people, and they have good reason not to. And this is where we come in. We want to make sure, hey, not just an active force. We're not talking about doing an active. Nobody ever talks about attacking anybody. We're talking about defending our life, liberty, and property through the show, not act, the show of force. We want the government to know we are strong, we are capable, we are well regulated. We will resist if they push too far. Some people say they've already pushed too far. But again, this country is not well regulated, and I believe people have not understood what the founding fathers meant by that.
On the city paper, they point out one of the things, the symbol you guys use is linked to white nationalism. And some of the people somehow always link the militia group to white power, white supremacy. And what do you say? Is your group only have white members, or is it a diverse group? Who can join your group?
Okay, well, our website is right up there, www.ironcitycru.com. We have mostly white members, but we don't care who joins our group. What difference does it make what color does someone's skin is in our group? But I'm going to go ahead and answer your question anyway. We have a black member in our group. Now, he hasn't been very active. He just had a baby recently, so he hasn't been too active. We have a Muslim Egyptian immigrant in our group, and he's one of our most dedicated hardcore members. And I mean, if we're white supremacists, I don't know how he slipped through the cracks, right? So again, it's a ridiculous charge. The far left knows we are not some sort of white supremacist group. They use that on purpose to get the average citizen to stay clear of us. Ooh, they're labeled this. We can't associate with them. So even conservatives cower away in fear of being associated, even if it's false association. They won't even do their research to find out. And we know one candidate for mayor already knew us personally and knew it was bogus and still didn't show up out of fear. So it's a very good tactic that the far left uses, the far left media, because it works. And the conservative movement in this country, collectively speaking, are cowards because they literally bow down and cower in fear to that ridiculous charge that the media uses. It's a lie. Of course it's a lie. It's just a slander. Believe it or not, it's an anti-white, anti-Christian slander. If you're calling somebody a white supremacist, well, obviously they're white. Why are you saying that derogatory term towards that white person? Because you don't like what they're doing politically. They don't like that we're constitutional conservatives and we carry ourselves with strength and courage and honor. They don't like that. So they want you to stay away from us, the average citizen to stay away from us. And it's a false charge that works.
So I was at the Reopen Pennsylvania rally, and I saw your group. I remember the Iron City name, because I'm from Pittsburgh. I caught that. I think there may have been other groups there, but you guys were lined up, in tactical gear. You had your AR-15s. What I noticed most was I looked at you guys and I thought, a lot of people are going to see these guys and be afraid, be intimidated. But at the end of the block on either end were the police. And the police didn't seem like they were concerned with you guys at all. They were just sort of chatting amongst themselves. They weren't even looking at you. So, I thought if anyone films these guys or a lot of people would walk through here might feel intimidated. But if they look at the way the police are acting, maybe they would feel like there was nothing to fear. I mean, what would you say to people that see your guys, and listen to the way you talk, and they're afraid of you?
Well, it's funny you say that because the police actually came up to us, several city police officers, and thanked us. Hey, thanks guys for coming. Shook our hands and thanked us for coming. Like, absolutely. And we will talk to anybody. You know, the police carry guns. We carry guns. You know, back years ago, you know this, everybody used to carry a gun and a rifle, right? You know, that really didn't change in our culture till like the 1900s, where people stopped carrying guns openly, you know. It just it became taboo over the years. And because I believe, in my opinion, our culture became a little emasculated, indoctrinated, you know, that, guns are bad, you know, as we know, because look at where we're at today. But we went down in the city of Pittsburgh on the eve of July 3rd in 2021. I apologize, 2020. And we had intel that Antifa, you're familiar with Antifa? They're a communist Marxist organization. They spray paint hammers and sickles. They did so on the Law Enforcement Memorial. They did so on the World War I Memorial. So our group had intel that they were going to do it again on the eve of July 3rd or July 4th, which was July 3rd. So 4 of our unit members, including myself, went down to the city of Pittsburgh to protect the statues and keep an eye on them. Again, full gear, AR-15s, everything, body armor. 2 police officers roll up and get out of their car, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" We said, "We're just keeping an eye on the statues, make sure they don't get spray painted." They go, "Oh, okay. Well, let me call it in, make sure no one messes with you." They radio it in, say they're talking to us, that there's armed citizens protecting the statues. They talked to us for like an hour. Now, I'm not going to mention their names, but they said they supported what we did. So we have law enforcement supporting what we do. And that's a relief in a way, because there's probably a few law enforcement that don't. For the boat parade party, we worked directly with the Verona Police Department. They knew we were there, keeping an eye on stuff. We were just attending the event as a deterrent, and the Verona Police Department was right there talking to us. But, you know, we were in communication with them the whole time. There's no anti-government thing. We're not anti-government. We're anti-corruption. We're anti-unconstitutional government, but we're pro-government. I mean, we need a constitutionally sound republic, and we are in favor of that. So, if people are scared by the way we look, unfortunately, that's a problem that needs to change in our culture, in our country. People should not fear guns. Now, unfortunately, the media, Hollywood, all of social media, pop culture, they have demonized weapons and guns and gun violence, especially when it's associated with white people. And that's why we get a bad rap. As you know, there's a racial slant in the media when it comes to white Christians. I mean, let's just face it. And that's fine. That's just the way that it is. But, people, we need to start communicating with people more. And that's why we go out there and do these open carry events, because we want to talk to people. We want to engage with everybody. Hey, just because I have a gun doesn't mean I'm going to shoot everybody. Again, let me go back to my point about the January 20th, 2020, Richmond, Virginia. 75,000 conservative American pro-Second Amendment patriots showed up at one location. Not only was there not one person shot or injured, there wasn't one arrest. So, the truth and reality and the facts and statistics speak for themselves. Unfortunately, the far left doesn't care about the truth. They want to disarm us because we're easier to control when we're disarmed.
So what do you guys do? Do you meet monthly? How do you recruit new members? Can a woman join your group?
Yes. Again, if I urge everybody to go to our website, www.ironcitycru.com. Anybody can join. We don't even ask what your gender or race is. We don't ask your religion. You want to apply? We need your concealed carry permit, right? Because that's like a background check already. So we do require concealed carry, and that means you're not a felon. So we do require a concealed carry permit. But other than that, anybody can join. As long as you're a legal citizen, you can join. No question asked. There's an interview process, right? I mean, just like anything, just like a job or anything. You don't want to get the wrong kind of person in there. There's an interview process, but anybody's allowed to join. Female, any race, color, creed, religion, we don't care. If you're pro-Constitution, pro-freedom, come on over.
Now, do you guys do criminal background check when it comes to membership?
Okay, so again, the concealed carry permit, if you have one, we require that. That means that's already, you had to get, in order to obtain that, you had to pass a criminal background check. We do further background checks. We check out people's social media if they have it, because we have their name. We do research their social media, minor criminal history, right? Because if it's not a felon, you can still get your carry permit. But we like to see if they have a pattern of some sort of criminal activity that might even be minor, because those are red flags. So we do background checks other than just criminal background checks.
Now, what if somebody look at your group and thinking that this is a white nationalism group, like you said, there's racism in America, racism. If they say, well, I think this is a good group for me because they're white nationalists, I want to join because that particular person is racist. What if they join your group and display any type of racist behavior? Do you kick those people out, or what do you do with that?
Well, what do you mean by that? My point is, like, everything's labeled racist now, right? So if they have a Land O'Lakes butter, they're eating Land O'Lakes butter with the Indian on it, are they racist? Now, what I'm trying to get at is, give me an example of what this person would do that is considered racist. Because so many things aren't racist that are labeled racist. If they're a Ku Klux Klan member, they're not coming in. If they're a BLM member, I'm sorry to say, I don't trust BLM. I'm sure there's good people in there, but I've heard so much anti-white sentiment within that group that I would not trust a BLM member to come in. Plus, they're an openly admitted Marxist organization, and Marxism is anti-constitutionalism, anti-Americanism, so they would not be allowed in either. Same thing with Antifa. So again, there's an interview process. So we would make sure that we found out everything we possibly could. We have kicked out a member for being an alcoholic, but we've never had to kick anybody out for being a racist.
Now, do you guys do gun safety trainings? Do you do what do you get together? What do you guys do?
I conducted for the first time at the Cracked Egg restaurant last Monday, which, by the way, we meet there, not our militia, but a bunch of local patriots meet there every Monday night. We didn't yesterday because it was Memorial Day. But every Monday night we meet there and do different things. We discuss different topics and discuss different plans of action within the community, different things that we wish to do to support our community. And the one thing that we had planned for last Monday was, let's teach women how to use a handgun, some handgun safety course. So that's what we did. So we are moving in that direction to try and help the community in that aspect, just because of the direction that this country is going. I think, especially with school shootings, there's more violence. Crime rates have gone up in multiple cities. The inflation rate's going up, so much money printing in the last 4 years. The gasoline prices are up. Crime goes up along with that. So we're trying to teach women specifically to defend themselves with firearms. So we conducted a firearms safety and firearms handling, a basic first-time handgun training course for females, which, by the way, we didn't use real guns. We used our airsoft Glock 19s, which is like a plastic BB gun that people play with, kind of like paintball. That's what we use because they're direct replicas of the actual Glock 19. So we used those, and it was a very good turnout, and it was welcomed very largely within the community, and people are asking us to do it again. So we are going to conduct another one. We're looking to do it in Oakmont here in the next month.
Matt, what have you ever looked into the history of the Black Panthers in the 60s? I wonder if you've ever looked into it and what your thoughts are on the Black Panthers of the 60s. Not any.
Very, very, very loosely. Now, if you know, the 60s were a different time period, right? This was the Civil Rights Act just went into effect, but there was a lot of still, discrimination against blacks. So they felt like they wanted to protect themselves, their community, their people, right? Like, tribally speaking, that's what they wanted to do. They had a tribal community. And I don't mean that word in a bad way. The black community wants to stick together. There's nothing wrong with that. They felt they were oppressed, and in a lot of cases they were. So they used their Second Amendment rights to do so. And now back then it wasn't so much an anti-white movement as it is now. It's been hijacked.
But in the 60s, the Black Panthers were, they were carrying guns openly in the streets. They were claiming they were providing security for kids and, helping people with food and things like that. And I understand, I don't know if it was one city in California, they tried to pass a law so that they couldn't carry their guns open. And that ended up the protest on the courthouse, the iconic photo. And they say that was the first Second Amendment protest in the history of our country was the Black Panthers.
I don't know if it was the first. I'd have to research. I'm not saying that's incorrect. It very well may be correct. But yes, that is correct. And then,
but you're okay with that. You guys, you're kind of similar to that then in a way. That's the Black Panthers as a militia.
Right, exactly right. We want to protect our community. We did so. We stood in front of businesses during the shutdowns. During that same time period was the BLM Antifa riots, where they caused $2 billion worth of property damage. And I believe 400 police officers were wounded during that time period, 23 innocent civilians killed and 2 police officers killed, maybe 3. And we had business owners contacting us. Hey, can you stand? There's going to be a BLM protest. Sure, no problem. We went to a gym in Ambridge, stood in front of that gym. We went to multiple restaurants. We went downtown in the city of Pittsburgh, again, during the statues and just right in the streets. So we do the same thing. If there's some sort of event going on, that's what we'll do. Now, unfortunately, it's very difficult because you kind of have to have the permission of the business owner to be on their property fully armed, which we're more than willing to do. But again, to your point, the Black Panthers, what they did, again, there's nothing wrong with that. It was more of a tribal thing where they just did it mainly for their own black fellow citizens, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing that if you feel your people are being oppressed. Now, in this case, I feel that all citizens are being oppressed. Now, I believe half the country, right, the far left, they don't really care. They're going along with it. So we're trying to push the narrative of business owners, especially, and regular citizens. You guys need to stop, entertaining yourselves with all these, frivolous extracurricular activities like watching sports ball events, whether football or baseball or basketball, or doing all these extracurricular activities that aren't going to make you stronger or more free in any way, and to start training the way they did back during the 1770s, 1760s, and become, well-trained, well-regulated. So everybody should do it, in my opinion. I think all men, especially. But again, women, they want to step up and do it. More power to them.
How do you soften the image a little bit, and then maybe reach out to some of the minority communities and reach out to, women, and to say, hey, we're not racist, we're not this, and we just wanted to have talk about the Second Amendment. What else are you guys doing to reach out to the communities? I mean, what you did for the training is great, but what else do you, in the future, what else are you planning on doing?
Well, it's difficult. We don't have any PR people, and I can only put out, now again, I have a Facebook page that's public. We have a website. Anytime we do one of these public events, again, every one of us has families and full-time jobs, right? So our time is very limited. But I like to do what was at your establishment, Sherry. We like doing events like that because that is, whether you like it or not, it's a public event reaching out to the community. Hey, we're a group of constitutional patriots. We're armed. We're standing as a deterrent against known evil threats, which we did get threats, Sherry. There were threats on the people going there. There was people saying that they're going to throw bricks and stuff like that. So there was known threats. We are providing protection. If the community doesn't see how that is reaching out to them, saying that we'll offer protection for free, then, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? We do as many of these events as we can. Again, I do public speaking events to reach out to community. I don't say, oh, hey, we need more black people. I'm not going to say that. I leave race out of everything. I do not bring up race because I'm sick of it. I'm not gonna sit there and try and cater to one race or another, or one gender or another, or some sexual orientation. No, anybody can join. You want to join? Here we are. I'm not going to sit there and try and pander to one race and just to get people to like us. I believe that's submitting and bowing down to the far left liberal media narrative, and I'm not going to do that. I'm for everybody, whoever wants to join. And again, we are doing an event on June 11th and 12th. We have 2 tables set up at the Washington County Gun Show here at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Our militia has 2 tables set up, and we are going to be informing the community in Washington County about our group. So that is one thing that we're doing soon. And we will be conducting some firearms training. But again, we are open to anybody. We do not discriminate against anybody. We only discriminate against communists and Marxists because those people are, by their own words, anti-American, anti-constitutional, and the majority of them are atheists, and they all despise everything that America has always stood for. And I will not allow any communist, Marxist in our organization. I don't care what skin color they are. I don't care what sexual orientation they are. If you're a communist, Marxist, you are not coming in my group.
So you guys going to conduct more of the gun safety trainings?
Correct. And then we're going to move on to live fire training. Now, remember, this is all free. No one gets charged anything. This is us giving to the community. This is our way of giving charity to the community. And look, and I'm not trying to sound conceited or anything. You go research how much it costs for a gun safety course. You're paying between $100 and $200. Okay. All that we ask for is you provide your own ammo. That's down the road. Whenever these first trainings, it's just going to be dry fire with a mock handgun, because we want people to be comfortable with the firearm before they actually shoot it and know all of the safety rules and regulations when it comes with it.
And how does people get the information when you're going to be conducting these trainings? What's your Facebook page?
Right. I have a personal Facebook page, but whenever I do these, I will announce them and I put them on multiple different Patriot groups that are on Facebook. I share it with multiple different individuals. So mainly social media, right? Since, KDKA is not going to announce it for us, right? I don't think the Post-Gazette's going to want to announce it. But we're going to put it on social media, and believe it or not, that's actually a pretty good platform, and it's worked pretty decent so far during the first one. That reaches, tens of thousands of people just in the local area, if not more. So we will be putting that out as much on social media as possible. And they can share that, as people can share that as much as they want to. And whatever place we're going to, and now I talked to the, what's her name? Valerie from the GOP of Oakmont. You know her.
You mean Veronica?
Yeah, Veronica, I'm sorry. She's going to try and find a place in Oakmont for us to conduct a safety training there. And I'm sure she has a lot of, public relations individuals she can contact to get the word out for that event whenever we hold that in the future.
So we're talking about gun safeties, and with the recent school shooting, President Biden was in Texas, and he made a comment, and I'm not quoting it word for word, but he said, a handgun, if you shoot somebody with a handgun, you can take the bullet out. But if you shoot someone with a 9mm, your lung will get shot out of your body, which is just impossible to save someone. Now, I've never shot a gun, I never shoot anybody before, but from your experience, does that happen?
Bob's laughing over. Okay, I need to make a few things clear. I need to make a few. Right. I don't even want to address it. I don't even want to honor his statement and address it, to be honest with you. But 9mm is a handgun, and it won't blow your lungs out through your chest. I mean, and honestly, who cares if it will? Look, guns are dangerous. Guns are specifically used for violence. That's just a fact. Guns are dangerous. They will hurt you, and they may kill you. I mean, we don't have to get into what body part it's going to blow off. They're a dangerous weapon. That's basically it. So, that's all that needs to be said. We should honestly ignore Joe Biden as much as we can, especially when these statements, because leave that to the comedians. You know what I mean?
Well, I think to someone that's used to guns, shotguns, to regular public, like somebody like me, I never, I took some safety classes, but all my life I never used a gun. And to some parents, those statements can be pretty scary. So, because he is, after all, the
That's the
president of the
point.
United States at this point. So, I mean, you guys are laughing, but to other people, they might say, well, geez, kids did get killed. People do get killed. Maybe the lungs can get shot out of the body.
Well, whether they get shot out of the body or not, it can still kill you. Just because your lungs don't come out doesn't mean you can't die. Again, and this is another point I need to make. Everybody, every normal thinking American should objectively research and educate themselves on weapons. And we have, at the touch of our fingertips, we have all the information needed. And everybody should do that. Everybody, and we don't need this derelict within the White House to say a stupid statement for us to educate ourselves. We should educate ourselves on guns all the time. It's a Second Amendment right. I mean, we should educate ourselves not only on our constitutional rights, which, by the way, the majority of Americans, they couldn't even name what's in the First Amendment. Did you know there's only 10% of the population that can actually name all of the freedoms given to you in the First Amendment? So, people need to educate themselves on the Constitution. And when it comes to firearms, especially now in the culture we live in today and the ridiculous narratives being pushed by this Marxist media, we need to educate ourselves on firearms.
So, Matt, the Constitution, it's like the highest authority in your life. Is there anything higher than that? You mentioned atheists. I mean, do you have any kind of faith or moral foundation beyond the Constitution?
God's authority. God, it goes God, then the Constitution, and then, everything else really doesn't fall into place. But again, the Constitution only has, it only has substance if we, the people, defend it. If we don't defend it, then quite frankly, it's our fault what happens to us. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And, good luck. And hopefully we can catch you in one of these free gun safety training classes.
I'll keep you updated.